Hi, this is Marek from Tryb Solo. Today I'd like to tell you more about Voidfall. Voidfall from Mindclash Games, and thanks Mindclash Games for sending it for review. This is a massive, huge, ultra heavy 4x Euro space game for 1 to 4 players. You can play this game solo and cooperatively and competitively. And I think, to be honest, to make a proper review of this game, you would have to play it for a few months probably. There is so much variety in this game. You have a lot of different cards and styles, and as I said, play modes, different scenarios, a lot of things in this game. So this video will be my initial impressions after playing it a few times, mostly solo. I would like to tell you how the game plays. It will not be how to play video because there are a lot of rules. In this next section of the video I will show you all the rulebooks and everything. Rather, now I would like to tell you how this game plays, so you will have an idea what Voidfall is about. If you have not heard of this game, or maybe you've heard something about it but you are not sure if this is the right game for you, I would like to show you what Voidfall is about, and then I will tell you my pros and cons and my overall opinion on this game. This is Voidfall prepared for the tutorial scenario for 1 player. So this is the most basic setup for Voidfall there is, because I have only 1 player board, and this is the smallest tutorial scenario that is in the rulebook. So you can imagine that if you play with more people, this will take a lot more space. This is not a how to play video because there are a lot of rules for Voidfall, and there is this cool gaming rules YouTube channel where Paul explains how to play Voidfall, and his video lasts over an hour. So I will rather try to tell you what this game is about, what you can do in this game, how you score victory points, how you play the competitive mode, and how you play the cooperative and solo mode. So if you haven't heard about this game, or you have heard something but you're not sure if this is the right game for you, I hope that after this video you will have an idea how this game plays. I told you that there are a lot of rules. I just want to show you that I'm not lying. This is the basic rule book. It's almost 40 pages long, and you have probably to learn most of it to play your game. Then there is this compendium that contains all the different scenarios depending on player count and player mode, solo, cooperative and competitive. But there is also the part that tells you how to set up the game, and this is the setup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is just the setup for this game. Here is some story introduction, so you know what this game is about. After that you have this glossary, and here you can find description of all cards and all things and icons and things in this game. Another 50 pages. And here is the icon reference sheet for this game, and this is all the icons that you can find in this game. It may sound and it may look very intimidating, but to be honest, the game is quite intuitive after you play it 1 or 2 times. But still, there are a lot of things that you have to learn in order to play it. So I will not teach you how to play this game. I will just tell you what the game is about. And you are the leader of one of the houses, great houses in this game. There are, I think, 14, if I'm not wrong, houses in this game. You can choose one of them. This is the basic one. There are more advanced ones. They have different skills and different civilization tracks, different technologies and so on. Each faction has got cards. These are the basic cards for the blue player. Some houses have unique action cards that you have to replace before you start off the game. But this is your player board. Here are your action cards that you will play during the game. On your player board you have 3 civilization tracks where you will be able to advance to score different bonuses. On top of your player board there is place for technology card. If you acquire them during the game, you will place them here and you will be able to use them during the game. And at the bottom part of your player board there is space for the agenda cards. This is your starting agenda. You will be able to acquire more agenda cards from this market here. And agenda cards are the cards that will score you victory points at the end of each phase. And what is a phase? The whole game of Voidfall lasts 3 phases. You can imagine that one phase is like a big, huge round, and during each phase, players will play action cards. They will perform different actions and do different things. This board here, this is the board that helps you to prepare for each cycle, for each big round. You have section A, B, and C, and they will guide you with the all the steps of each phase. Basically, in each phase, you have to reveal one of these cards. There are a lot of these cards. These 3 are prepared, are dedicated for the tutorial scenario. But when you play a regular game, you have a lot of cards for phase 1, cycle 1, cycle 2, and cycle 3, and you will randomly pick them. And at the start of each cycle, you will reveal this card. And this card will tell you what to do. There are some special things that you have to do at the start of each cycle. Sometimes you will get some bonuses or different things. And here it shows you what you have to achieve in order to score either additional bonuses or resources or things, or in the last cycle card you will score influence points, and influence in this game is a victory. So at the start of each cycle, you have to reveal one card, and this card will tell you things you have to do, how can you score additional things, but it will also tell you how many turns each player will have in this specific cycle. For example, in the first cycle in tutorial you have 3 turns, but in the second cycle you will have 4, in the last you will have 5, and these numbers are different on each card, so you never know how many turns you will have until you reveal this card. And the main thing in this game is influence, and influence is our victory points. You will score influence in many different ways, sometimes from this cycle cards that you reveal at the start of each cycle. Sometimes you will score influence points from the civilization tracks that you have on your player board. You will score influence points for combat, and you will score influence points for agendas, because agendas score at the end of each cycle, so basically 3 times during the game. So the more agenda cards you have, the more points you will get at the end of each cycle. Of course, only if you meet the requirements, because each agenda card has got requirements that you have to meet in order to score points. Here is the galactic map, and it contains different sectors that looks like this. They look like hexes, and you will set them up according to the rulebook. This compendium tells you how each scenario looks like depending on the player count and the player mode, and you will set it up. And on the sectors you will have installations that looks like this, you will have guilds that look like this, you will have population dice. This is the die in your color, but you will have dice in purple color, and the dice represent population of this sector. Dice are not used to roll them in this game. There are no random things in this game. You use dice to show what is the population in each sector. So you will place your fleet on the sectors. On some sectors you will have Voidborn fleet, so the bad guys. And here the main game will take place, where you will fly to different sectors, you will claim control of sectors, you will fight, you will have combat, you will gather resources from here, you will have installations that allow you to do different things. So let's start with installations. They look like this. You have 3 types of installations. This one are a defensive one, and they will allow you to fight other people if they invade your sector. This installation allows you to build additional ships if you play the specific card, and this will allow you to both build ships and will give you some defense. You also have these tokens, and they are guilds, and there are different guilds in this game, and they represent different types of resources that you have in this game. Each player has got this resource board that shows each resource production and the amount of the resource you currently have and are able to spend. So different guilds show you which resources you will be able to produce in each sector. And you have the population die that show you what is the population of each sector. And the population is important in connection with different guilds, because if you calculate the value of your production in each sector, you have to multiply the number of guild tokens with the population. So if I have this yellow resource here and I have 2 guilds, the production will be 2 times 2 because there is 2 on the dice, so I will have production value 4. For this pink resource, sorry I don't remember all the names of them, for this resource you will have production value 2. So the higher the population, the bigger is the production in this sector of the given resource. If you look at this resource boards, they are divided into parts. The left part is production. Here is the production value, and here it shows how many units of this resource you will produce if you do the produce action. And here it shows the current amount of the resource that you are able to spend on different things, and money can be substituted for each of these 3 resources. Maybe it's time to show you the action cards, because I told you about them a little earlier, but I haven't shown them. So here are the action cards, and each player has got 9 of them, and during each turn you will be able to play one of these cards and perform 2 actions from the chosen card. Each action has got a cost and that you have to pay in order to perform the action. There is an option to perform all 3 things from each card, but you need to have these trade tokens. You can get them during the game. If you have a trade token, you can discard it in your turn in order to perform all 3 actions, but you still have to spend the proper number of resources, or you have to pay the cost of each thing. When you play a card, an action card, it will go to the discard pile, and the discard pile will go back to your hand at the beginning of the next cycle. So you are not able to play one card 3-4 times in one cycle, because after you play a card, it goes to your discard pile. But let's go back to the game. So you have sectors. In the sectors you can have installations, you can have guilds, and you will have populations. You will be able to raise the population, but it can be corrupted. I will tell you about corruption a little later, but anytime you see this orange plastic thing, it means that this is corrupted, and corrupted population cannot be raised. It will still produce resources, but you cannot raise the value of the die. Corruption represents the influence of Voidborn over you and over the galaxy. And of course, on each sector you can have your fleet, or there can be fleet of your opponent. If you play co-op or solo, the opponent will be Voidborn. If you play competitively, you will play against other players and Voidborn as well. So this is your basic fleet. This is Corvette. This Corvette has got fleet power 2 because I have 2 cubes here. The cubes represent the fleet power. Some of the cubes are here. There is the inactive pile, active pile, and you, by building different ships, you will be able to move the active power fleet tokens from here to the sectors. Each fleet can be split if you want. So if you have this Corvette with 2 power tokens, you can split it like this, for example, to move this corvette to a different sector, and this one will, for example, stay in the starting sector. So you can split it however you like, and this is important because you only control the sectors that you have your fleet here. Apart from the home sector, this is always yours, but any other sector is only your if you have a fleet there. So if you move your fleet or your fleet will be destroyed, you will lose control of the sector. And combat in this game is completely not random, it's totally deterministic, because when two players or two fleets or fleets from different players meet in one sector, you will have combat. Here is the combat board that explains how it works. In each combat, the first step is the approach phase, and in the approach phase, if there are the defense installations, they will deal damage to the attacking fleet. Some spaceships, when you create them, if you have specific technology, will also deal damage in the approach phase, or will reduce some damage in the approach phase. But in the approach phase, both sides deal each other damage if they have the means to do it. After the approach phase, there is the salvo phase, and in each step of salvo phase, you will deal damage to your opponent, and the opponent will deal damage to you. First, you have to calculate the initiative. The initiative is the total number of cubes of your fleet and of the fleet of your opponent, and the person with highest initiative deals damage first, then the opponent deals damage back. No matter how many ships you have, you always deal 1 damage. Some ships and some cards give you additional damage, but basically you deal 1 damage to your opponent and the opponent deals damage to you. First, the person with higher initiative attacks and deals damage. The opponent removes 1 cube, then he strikes back. If both players have the same value of initiative, they'll deal damage together at the same time. And the fight, the salvo phase, continues so long that only one player stays in the sector. If one fleet stays in the sector and you are the attacking player, you will receive influence points, you will receive the glory tokens, you will place them by your player board. You can have maximum 4 of them, and you will score influence points equal to your victory tokens. If you won with other player, you will remove 1 of the glory tokens from this player and score victory points. Basically, combat will give you victory points, influence points. After you have conquered a sector, you will remove all installations from this sector, but you will leave all the guilds that produce resources there, and this sector is yours. And you will get more resources if there were any guilds in the future from the sector. You will be able to deploy your ships. If you have the required installation, you will be able to raise the population and score more resources. So this is combat. On this sector, on some sectors, there are also the reclaim tokens, and you have the bounty tokens. If you conquer a sector with these tokens, you reveal them and you score the things, you get the bonuses depicted on them. So this is additional bonus for conquering sectors. As I said, glory tokens, you can have 4 of them. If you get the 5th one, you have to remove 1 of the glory tokens you already have. And the glory tokens give you influence points after you win a fight in a new sector. You also have technologies. Here are the basic technologies that you can get. You have 8 of them. They will give you victory points if you manage to get them first, because you have 2 copies of each technology card. The first person that gets it, that claims the technology, gets 4 victory points. The second person gets no victory points, but achieving technology gives you some bonuses that you will be able to use through the game. After the first cycle, you will be able to acquire the advanced technologies, and they are the best version of each technology. If you have the basic one and you perform the required action, you can take one of the advanced technologies to replace the basic one in your on your player board. And of course, you have the agendas. There are 4 types of agenda cards. You can get them during the game, and you can play them in your turn. If you play an agenda card, you will be able to perform an action. You have to play them with specific action cards from your hand, and after playing an agenda card, you'll be able to slide it under your player board, and if you manage to meet the requirements of agenda card, you will score points at the end of each cycle. You have, remember, 3 cycles, so you'll be able to score some of the agenda cards 3 times if you get them in the first cycle. There are 4 types of them. You can only have 1 agenda card of each type under your player board, and you have 4 slots for them. As I said before, there is this corruption marker. Sometimes you will get it by playing different cards or by different effects in the game. If the corruption marker is placed on a sector and under the population die, the value of the die cannot be increased, but it will still produce resources. If you place this corruption token on your player board, you can either place it on a civilization track, and then when you progress the civilization track and there is a corruption token on the marker, you will not score any bonuses from the spots that you move to. And you can also place this on your agenda spot, here, here, or here. And if the corruption marker is on one of the agenda spots, you will not score for the card that is below it. So corruption is not good, and it represents the influence of Voidfall over the galaxy and over players. There are ways to remove it, but it's not that easy. If you play the competitive mode at the end of the 3rd phase, you all calculate your agendas, victory points and everything, and the player with most influence points will win the game. If you play the co-op version or the solo version, you will not play against each other, but you will play against the Void board. In the competitive mode, Void board is still present, but it's basically an annoyance. It blocks some sectors. You will have to fight Voidborn to claim some sectors in the galaxy. If you leave a sector and you will have no fleet left in a sector, Voidborn will claim it, but your main opponents are other players. If you play solo or cooperatively, you will play against the Voidborn. Most of the rules is basically the same, but you will have to add this crisis board to the game. And each turn, in each cycle, each turn, so each time you play your action card, you will add 1 crisis card to this board. There are 3 difficulty levels for the solo or cooperative game. Depending on the difficulty, the basic, medium or hard difficulty, you will have to create this alert deck, and the alert deck will tell you which tier of crisis cards you will draw during each turn. 1 is the easiest, and 3 is the hardest. And this is a war card, and it means that the Voidborn will try to attack you. And basically, at the start of each turn, you will reveal 1 alert card. It will tell you which crisis card you will take. You will reveal 1 crisis card, and we will place it here. And this is the crisis that you have to deal with in the current turn. If by the end of turn you will not be able to complete this requirement, you have 3 options. You can either pay the penalty displayed here and remove this crisis card. You can add a catastrophe token to this board. You have 3 slots, and you will also remove this card from the game. But if you don't want to, you can move the unsolved crisis card to one of the spots on this crisis board. You have 4 spots at the top and 4 spots at the bottom. You have to put it on the top or on the bottom, depending on the type of the card. The red cards go to the top, and the blue cards go to the bottom. And this card will stay here. If at the start of the next turn a new card comes here and you will not be able to resolve it, this card will move to the right and this card will be placed here. So during the game, the more crisis cards are unresolved, the more cards will be on this board. If any card goes here and should be pushed to the right and there is no space, it will go away and you will add this catastrophe token to this board. If you have 3 of them here and you have to add the 4th one, you will automatically lose the game. Also, the more cards are here, the more powerful Voidborn will be, because here you have the power of Voidborn when it attacks you at the end of each cycle or during the war card, and here the bottom part shows what type and how many resources you have to pay when the Voidborn attacks you. So for example, in this situation, the Voidborn power will be +2, and you have to pay 1 of each of these resources in order to fight with Voidborn. If you have no resources of this type, you will lose 3 influence points for each of the resources. So your goal is to not have the cards on this other board, because the more cards are here, the more powerful Voidborn is. The cards that are pushed to the right will generate catastrophe tokens and 3 catastrophe tokens, and when you get the 4th one, you will lose the game. And if you of course manage to resolve one of the requirements even when the card is on the board, of course you will remove it. So if I remove this card, everything will be pushed to the left. So this is like an additional goal for you in order to play the game, because normally when you play the game competitively, you will do all your action and you have to gather influence. In the solo co-op mode, you also have to gather as much influence as you can, but you have to deal with this crisis card. Otherwise, you can lose the game or you will make the Voidborn very powerful. At the end of the game, Voidborn will score victory points depicted here. It will score for many different things. Basically, this is the starting influence value for Voidborn depending on your difficulty, and then for each different thing it will score some points. If you have more victory influence points than Voidborn at the end of the game, you win. If Voidborn has more, Voidborn wins. You will also use the havens in the solo mode, so this is additional thing. You have a few different havens. Each scenario will tell you which havens you have to use. You will have a chance to place your cubes in the spots on these havens. If you manage to place all the cubes here, you will score, you will get the bonus shown here. But if you don't manage to place all the cubes on each haven present in the game before the game ends, Voidborn will score additional influence points for unfinished havens, because the havens represent havens where you have to help move people from the galaxy to when they escape from the evil Voidborn. But basically the solo mode is very cool because it doesn't add an automa that you have to deal with. You play against Voidborn just like in a regular game. The difference is that you don't play against other players, and you have this crisis board with different crisis cards that give you like goal that you have to achieve each turn, because if you don't, Voidborn will be more and more powerful. And this is basically how you play Voidfall. Let's go to the summary. As you have seen, this is a huge game, and I know I've said the word huge a few times already in the video, but this is a very complex game and it's not possible to explain it in, 20-30 minutes. But you know how this game plays, you know what this game is about, so now I will tell you what I like about Voidfall. My pros. It's a very advanced game, and you can really see a lot of work that was put into Voidfall, into designing it. It's a very advanced but very objectively good game. I think that even if you are not a Euro fan or strategy fan or 4X games fan, if you played Voidfall, you have to say that this is a good and really well designed game. Replayability in this game is, I don't know, off the charts, because you have 3 play modes. In each play mode you have different scenarios, and there are different scenarios and different map layout even for different player counts in different modes. There are a lot of tiles, a lot of cards, a lot of houses, a lot of replayability in this game. And even if you play the same scenario at the same player count, and the map will look the same, or different agenda cards and different, event cards. If you play solo, different alert cards will make each playthrough different. Again, 3 player modes, and all the play modes are well done. You don't have a feeling that, for example, the solo was added at the last the last stage of designing the game. Each play mode feels really good. You can play against each other, you can play cooperatively, and you can play solo, and the solo mode works really well because you have no automa, it's not very complex. You play against Voidborn, the faction that is always in this game, no matter which play mode you choose. So this is really cool, and you have this crisis card that you have to deal with in order to not lose the game and in order not to make Voidborn too powerful. Really cool. This game looks amazing. This is the retail edition, and what you have seen on the table was this retail edition. In my video, this how to play part of the video, I had this dual layer or triple layered player boards that are really convenient. But if you want, you can get this deluxe, you can say deluxe add-on from Mindclash Games website, where you have plastic ships and some components that are cardboard here will be made from plastic. It looks really cool, but even the basic version looks amazing. The art, the icons, the components, the board, the player board, everything looks amazing. But this is, Ian O'Toole, so it has to look great. As I said, solo mode works really well. It's not too complex, it's not overcomplicated, you don't have a strange automa with, 20 pages of rulebook. It works really, really smooth and really well. And I think that it's really worth getting Voidfall just for playing it solo. You can play as you like in this game. You can play peacefully, you can play aggressively, you can focus on conquering different sectors, or you can focus on agenda cards or on advancing your civilization. There are a lot of ways in this game to score points, and I really like it. It's not that there is only one proper way to play this game. You have different ways and different styles, and you can choose the one that you like the most, or depending on the scenario or player count, it's all up to you. You decide how to score in this game, and this is cool because you have the agenda cards, and one part of scoring is, of course, for example, getting technologies, or for fighting with other players or fighting with Voidborn. But agenda cards give you a lot of points, and you choose the cards that you want to use. So it's basically up to you. How will you score influence, and what will you get the points from? I like the corruption mechanism. This is really cool because you have this plastic token that you can place on your player board, on technology, civilization track, or on agenda slots, or you can place it in different sectors under the population cube. And this is cool because it thematically it shows the influence of Voidborn throughout the galaxy and on your faction, but it also gives you some difficult or interesting decisions. Should you perform an action that will give you this like this corruption token, but maybe then you will score less points for your agenda card, or should you not use it? It's really cool. And the AI opponent in the form of Voidborn is also well developed. It's not complicated. You have this Voidborn fleet. It's on the board. At the end of each cycle, they will try to invade players. And if you invade their sectors, you will fight with them. But this is really well designed. It doesn't make the game more complex, but you have again an additional opponent. So even if you play against other people, you will have Voidborn that you will have to fight with as well. What are the cons of this game? And there are some cons. The setup is very long. I think it's 12 pages long. It takes a lot of time to set up the game, to prepare the specific scenario, to place all the tokens on the sectors and prepare the technology cards, pick different houses. It takes a lot of time. And I think that the setup takes so long that sometimes you can play some easier games during the time you will set up Voidfall. You have a lot of rules. You have 3 rule books, and they are really well written. But you have to learn a lot before you play the game. There's the tutorial, but still, the game has got a lot of icons, a lot of rules. The core rules, they are 40 pages long, and then there's the setup, and then you have this glossary that explains all the cards. When I first played Voidfall, it was on my table for the whole day, and I was reading through the rule books, looking at the components, and trying to guess what the icons mean and what they do. So you need to put a lot of work and time to learn how to play it. There is no randomness in this game. For some people it might be a pro and a great thing. For me this is a little con, because I think that in some parts this game lacks emotions or excitement. Because if you have a game, 4X game, for example, you use dice in combat, even if you can mitigate the dice a little, you never know what happens, and you roll the dice and you see what is the result. And here in this game everything is deterministic. Of course, if you play solo, you have different crisis cards, and you never know which card comes up, or the main cards that you use for each cycle in each mode in the game, they also give you different scoring, you have different agendas. But basically everything is deterministic, especially combat. When you invade other sector, you go there, you have your fleet, you have your cards, your technologies, and you can calculate the outcome before the combat even starts. So I think it's a little boring, at least for me. I'm a rich trash guy. I like to roll a lot of dice, and in this game you only use dice to show the value of population in each sector, and you never roll it. It requires a huge table to play. What you have seen in this video it was the easiest, the simple one tutorial scenario for 1 player only. If you add more players and bigger scenario and the crisis board for solo and cooperative mode, this game requires a huge table, so you have to be prepared. I think that this is more a Euro game than a 4X game, because there are elements of 4X game, but everything is predictable, and it feels like you play a Euro game and not really a 4X game. But I'm not an expert. For me it's not a con. Maybe from a 4X game I would expect a little more unpredictability and maybe more emotions, walking around the table and being excited to what will happen in the upcoming battle. And here everyone is sitting at the table and you're looking at the boards and thinking. And I think there is a lot of analysis paralysis in this game. So I think that you have 9 action cards, and there are 3 things you can do on each action card. And if you play with 4 people and they are not maybe experienced, or they like to plan a lot, it may take a while to play this game, because there are a lot of things that you have to plan and think and consider, a lot of moving elements that you have to see in order to play good and to score a lot of points. So if you play at a 4-player count, you have to be prepared for a long game of Voidfall. In general, I think that this is the best heavy Euro game I've played this year. I have also played Septima from Mindclash Games, but it was a little lighter than this game. This game is, I don't remember, 4.6 or 7 on BGG, and this is an ultra heavy game in terms of rules, in terms of gameplay, and in terms of thinking and planning everything. But it's an amazing game, and if you are not afraid of complex games and heavy games, you should definitely play and try Voidfall, especially that there are two versions. There is this more expensive one and there is the retail edition. And for what you get in this box, I think that the retail edition is priced €120 or something. It's really well, it's a good price, because you have a lot of replayability in this game, a lot of options, play modes, components, scenarios. It's really, really cool. And I think that for a lot of solo gamers, this game might be a Mage Knight killer, because in terms of complexity and different moving elements and the requirement to plan all your actions and plan your turn and plan which cards to play, this is a little similar to Mage Knight. Of course, the theme is different and the gameplay is different, but the heaviness and the amount of thinking is, for me, comparable. But for me, the game is much better than Mage Knight. As a solo gamer, I have a lot of scenarios here, different difficulty levels, different map layouts, 14 different asymmetric houses that I can choose and play. It's amazing. Voidfall, I can already tell you, will be in my top 10 games of 2023. Of course, this is not a game that I will play every 2 days, maybe not even every weekend. The game requires a lot of work to set up, to learn the rules, and to play, a lot of time to play, to prepare everything for game, and then to put everything back in the box, and for the gameplay itself. But I'm sure that whenever I play this game, even one per month, I will be extremely satisfied by the gameplay and by the mechanics and the look of the game, and it will be just pure fun to play it and put it on the table. So again, if you like space games, Euro games, heavy, complex games, I think you have to play Voidfall. It's one of the best games that came out in 2023, at least for me. Thank you for watching. I hope you like this video. Click the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to. I will be very happy. You can visit me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I will leave links in the description of the video. And thank you for watching this long Voidfall video. See you next time. Bye.